Hey friends, this is Edgar Palacios. I'm Edgar Palacios. This is Edgar Palacios. I'm Edgar Palacios. It all makes sense. I am the founder of the Latinx and Education Collaborative, and really our work is around how do we improve the educational outcomes and experiences of Latino students and youth in our community. And one of the things that we do is that we support Latino educators as part of our work. And so, welcome to another edition of Ask an Educator. I am excited for our guest today, who's joining us all the way from a big state of Illinois, I think in the Chicago area. Let's welcome to the stage, Emily Gasca. Emily, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing amazing, Edgar, and yourself?
Doing really well. Thank you so much for asking, and it's so good to see you here. Um, for our community who may not know you, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? What do you do? And we'll start there.
Yes, so I am an educator. I am a teacher, I'm a change maker, advocate, and I'm just a passionate woman on a mission to just help shift our future generations and change the trajectory of our students' lives. I started off as a kindergarten teacher assistant, became a kindergarten teacher, moved up to be a MTSS lead and reading interventionist, and now I'm currently serving as a assistant director of MLs for a district within the city of Chicago.
That's awesome. Take me back to when you were a kindergarten teaching assistant. What was like? What made you decide to do that?
I became a kindergarten teacher my second year of my undergrad. So I was going to school, starting the real core work of education, and it just aligned so perfectly well. I was in five different kindergarten classrooms, assisting five different phenomenal kindergarten teachers who really helped shape those foundations for me as a teacher. It was a wonderful experience to be able to apply hands-on the learning that I was receiving in school, and just to be able to work with students and for them to really trust me to come into their classrooms and do what we teachers do best.
Yeah. What inspired you to continue into the field of education?
I love teaching and I loved kids. Love kids. I love working with kids. I love seeing the way they respond and how they love to really, I don't want to say please, but to kind of show you their abilities. And that just, it really motivated me and sparked this passion inside of me that allowed me to see, I can do this. I can do this for a living. And then to also be able to, I loved all my students, but to me, the students that really left an imprint that shaped the work that I do today is those students, those struggling students, the students who were quiet, the students who had struggle trying to regulate their emotions and their behaviors. Those were the students that really impacted me and continue to do so today.
Hmm. How would you describe yourself as a student?
Oh, as a student, I was very quiet and timid. I was that student who did not want to be seen.
Mm,
And I struggled. I struggled with reading.
hmm do you did that influence kind of how you've developed in your career, and is that something you carry with you still to this day?
Definitely, yes, there was, and I shared this in my story, fifth grade teacher who really transformed my life. He saw something inside of me that nobody had seen, and I definitely, with low confidence, just did not ever imagine I would be doing. And because he allowed me to be a tutor and help a student that was in our classroom at the time, that really shaped my future in the sense that I felt this confidence I had never felt before.
Mm.
And it just impacted me to want to go right after high school to go to college to become a teacher.
I'm curious. We're entering a really interesting time in education. It feels like it's been an interesting time in education for a long time at this point, but there's a new chapter here. As you're looking towards the future, and as you're serving in this moment, what are the things that are keeping you up at night?
My goodness, the things that are keeping me up at night is how am I going to impact my fellow colleagues, educators, teachers, to continue to do the work to advocate and to see how collectively we can shift the narrative, no matter what the hierarchy or those in politics or may want to kind of impose on us. Like we just continue to do the work and we are able to 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 kind of finding ways to share with them that you could still make an impact.
Hmm. Um, is advocacy? I keep hearing you say advocacy. Is advocacy important to you?
It is. It is. There was a time in my career where I was able to go and advocate with senators and representatives and really let them know what were the needs of the students and teachers in the city of Chicago. And
Yeah.
I continue to hold that dear in my heart and finding ways to now do it so at the local level. So, yes, it is.
Did you recently win an award based on your advocacy?
I did. I did. The National Center of Learning Disabilities. I received the K to 5 Everyday Champion Award.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was that like?
That was amazing because the story I shared was being a classroom teacher, kindergarten classroom teacher, and that year was a year that was so challenging. Everything you could ever imagine happening at once in my life was happening. And to see that the fruit of my work within the classroom was able to be recognized and seen at the national level, it was just amazing. And even though that work, the impact is still like I still see the students, I was able to see them and see where they are. It was just amazing to get a recognition for that. And most importantly, to see the transformation in my students.
I appreciate that. Keeping it student centered and student focused. That's something that we love to hear. And very deserving of the award and the recognition as well. We have some friends. Trisha McGee, who says, yes, NCLD award winner. And
Hey,
then
Trisha.
Alicia Rodriguez Montañez, a true inspiration of advocacy and passion. You are awesome, Emily, and you're doing amazing things.
Oh, thank
It's
you,
incredible.
ladies.
Yeah.
Yes.
We think a lot about how do we retain and recruit new educators into this space. What has kept you going? So clearly you have a commitment to young people. Clearly you are also serving in ways that you would have loved to have been served when you were a young person as well. But we hear that teaching is difficult. We hear that it can be isolating. We hear all these negative things. In fact, we were just recently partnering with a school district locally to think about how do we did a design challenge where young people were telling us like what the issues were to get an education, how do we build a marketing campaign around it and whatnot. I heard a couple of things. Teacher pay, not great. Kids don't like kids, which is funny and ironic in so many different ways. And there's just, it seems like a level of disinterest or a level of not connecting like how powerful teachers really are to young people.
Mhm,
So I'm
mhm.
curious, how have you navigated the space and reaffirmed your commitment to education?
Yes, thank you for that question. I think that it's important and it's not talked about enough. And it could be so easy to get caught up in the midst of the everyday challenges and feel like we're failing. So what I first had to do was really because I mean I tell people I started from the bottom. I started as a TA, right? A teacher assistant, and now where I'm at right now. And every time I knew it was time for me to shift was my purpose is very well like integrated within me. It is part of my core, my beliefs, and who I am. So knowing my purpose, and that is simply to change the trajectory of our future generations, whether it's one student or a multiple masses of students, right? So that's what's kept me grounded is knowing that the work that I do at every different level impacts our future generations. So having that why solidified in my purpose in life has really helped me. And also knowing that even though I may not be directly working with kids every day for 6 hours, I'm still making an impact and
Yeah.
my purpose is still the same. It's just how I'm doing it has shifted.
Yeah. Did you ever see yourself as a district leader?
Never. Nope.
What shifted in you to inspire you to continue down that pathway?
Honestly, there was an incident that happened in the city of Chicago that just really grieved me and like it angered me. It really put a burden on me. And instead of finding fault, it allowed me to see what can I do to impact our teachers? What can I do to impact my community? What can I do to impact the parents and the police officers within my city? And that's when I realized there's a passion within me that I need to take beyond the classroom.
Yeah.
I think that the 13 years that I was a classroom teacher really helped me see what the root cause of many of the things we see in our adolescence. And I just want to get that word out and share that with others, because sometimes when we look at it from a lens of a classroom teacher or administrator, it can be narrow. So I just have that gift to be able to see the root cause of many of the things happening, and then showing up with grace and with just love and curiosity, and helping see others kind of navigate through that, and allowing them to continue to do the work, because they're so needed. And we appreciate, all of our teachers, our police officers, and our students need us. They're our future.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I mentioned the pandemic earlier, and I think it was my hope that the community would see teachers as powerful, and as I believe that they're the glue that hold our communities together, in a lot of ways. And we all learned, if you had kids, or if you were surrounded by kids, like you understood the challenges that teachers were facing in a lot of different ways, right? And trying to parent, trying to educate, trying to be a partner to a teacher. And it's really interesting to me that we kind of forgot, right? Like, we went back to normal in some ways. And a lot of us forgot the value of educators and how important they are and how critical they are, to our larger community. In fact, when we were talking to students about why they wouldn't be teachers, a lot of them said that students mistreated teachers as well. And so it was interesting that they observed it, they noticed it. My curiosity goes, like, how do you overcome that, right? Like, you see that level of disrespect and disenfranchisement sometimes from all over the place. How do you continue to build and inspire other future educators to say, like, listen, that is part of it, but like, the mission and the opportunity is so much greater?
Yes, I think it's helping them understand and sharing with them. Like, we have to show up with curiosity to help understand. We may not know what happened before they step foot in our classroom.
Mm,
And they're just like lashing out on us. They're just taking it out on us because we're there, and they know that we are teachers, and we're limited with how we can respond, what we can do. And they're just releasing their frustration. So showing up with curiosity and and building that relationship and trust with students. That's what's been successful for me as a teacher and working with adolescents, because a lot of the times you will find that it's not so much they're just it's the lens that the students are looking at the world, and we're part of that world they're in, and that's just how they treat, or that's how they've been treated. So
yeah.
showing up with that perspective, I think, is key. And knowing that if you build that trust, you build that relationship, and show up with curiosity, you can definitely shift that
Hmm.
narrative.
Are you, when you think of a student that has impacted the way that you teach or that you show up in the profession, what comes to mind? Who comes to mind?
Oh my gosh, I have two students who are twins.
Awesome.
Yes, they come to mind. And it was, I mean, everything you can imagine a 5-year-old doing plus 100 times 100, that was them.
What about your experience with them shifted the way that you thought about teaching or practiced teaching?
Um, because I had to go beyond being a bilingual teacher. I had to go beyond being a classroom teacher. I had to now learn about what my students needed to be serviced, because they came into my classroom and they did not have any like IEP, no plan in place. So I was seeking all of my different resources, which is like the physical therapist. I was seeking the speech therapist. I was seeking the behavioral, like every different resource I could think of in my building. I was requesting and asking for supports and tools, and pretty much that year developed a whole I would say like a degree in special education and how to show up for my students and get them to where they needed, and to advocate for them, making sure that before they left my classroom, they had an IEP plan in place to continue their development, their accommodations, their modifications, which I had to start doing without anything in place or supports outside of the classroom.
Some would hear that story and say that you went above and beyond out of the scope of your work. Um, how do you continue to inspire that in others, right? Like, it clearly, again, it can't highlight enough your commitment to young people and how you show up for them and your commitment to advocacy. But not everybody does that, right? Like, not everybody actually takes the time to learn and invest into advocate and to figure out the resources. And that's a pretty specific goal that you had there, right? Like, I'm going to make sure that these young folks leave with the resources that they need in order to be successful. And I'm sure that changed the trajectory of their lives in a lot of ways as well. But like, what makes you different than other folks who may have not gone above and beyond in that moment?
I will say one word is love, showing up with love. I love what I do. I love my students. I love my colleagues. I love the people I work with. I just love people, and I want to see people succeed. Every single person that I impact or that I encounter, like, that's part of my purpose. And um, because I'm like, I've got my purpose solidified. I know my why, my how. When things get challenging, instead of complaining, I'm right away seeking how can I be a problem solver? How can I shift this narrative? And that's just a mindset. It's a mindset that I've learned and continue to grow and understand.
Yeah.
But showing up with love, loving my students, and knowing that if I don't do something now, that my student can end up being the student I saw on the news that made me realize it's time to go beyond the classroom. It's time to start thinking of leadership and how I can make an impact at that level. And it's also understanding that even if my purpose my purpose is not changing, it does not change. It's
Yeah.
just how I show up and where I am.
That's such a beautiful response. I appreciate that you led with love and um, the vulnerability of that too, right? Because it's not like a reciprocal thing, right? Like, you're not loving
Totally.
others so you can get love back. It's like you're just giving it because it's the thing that you do. That's pretty amazing. Um, Dr. Clark, perfect example of how teachers are the glue keeping the community together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We're seeing again resources being taken away in so many different ways, particularly with students that have special needs, immigrant students, multilingual learners. Um, what's your hope in this moment? What is it that you're feeling around what you're seeing, and then your bias towards action? Like, where's that taking you right now?
My hope is it's understanding the impact that I can make locally. So, and helping our educators and teachers specifically know that they can change the trajectory of a student's life and help a student identify their purpose.
Yeah.
And my hope globally is that we continue to advocate and do so with love, but making sure that we're also not that we are resisting the changes that we know are wrong, and just advocating and calling who we need to call. Um, Also networking, right? Network is huge. We need to build a community of like-minded people, because the everyday work can get heavy. And I think that you asked the question earlier about how can we make sure that teachers sometimes feel isolated. It's because we haven't had the community to be vulnerable, the community to kind of vent, yes, but then, all right, now let's hold each other accountable. What are we going to do? How are we going to show up for our students? How are we going to make sure that we advocate and that we let our voices be heard collectively? That's my hope, and what I hope to inspire in others and continue to do every day, because we definitely can stand together and see what we as teachers and educators know is needed in education.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Where do I see myself? Okay, so if I, let's just say, had everything in place, all the resources, I see myself having my own school, to be honest with you.
Really?
I don't want to be a principal. I don't want to go into a district. I want to have my own school and be able to lead my school with love and then impart that into my teachers, my staff, from the lunchroom custodians to everybody.
What would be other than like love, right? What would be different about your school? What is it that you think your school would create, or how would it add value to community?
I would be the school leader, I guess,
Yeah.
that invites everybody into at the table. So I want a teacher, I want a parent, I want every staff member, custodian, I want a lunchroom staff member. What do you need? What do our students need? How are we showing up? And just aligning every single role, because
Right.
ultimately we all are there to teach our students and work together to move education forward.
I love that. That's 10 years from now. What if it happens in 5?
That'd be awesome. That
um, as you know, as we talk to aspiring educators, and as we talk to young people who are really excited about becoming teachers, and they see a wealth of opportunity, what advice would you give to a first year educator?
Oh my goodness. I would let them know they have everything that their students need within them already.
Yeah.
Trust yourself more.
Did you find that you walked into your classroom with a lot of trust initially, or did you have to build that up over time?
Yes, because I had the experience of being a class teacher assistant,
Yeah.
but I still had a long way to go. I still had to build that.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the most meaningful resources that you had available to you that first year that kept you going?
That's a great question. Honestly, there was an outside organization called a New Teacher Center where I had a
Yeah.
coach, and that coach was with me. I would say I felt like every week. She really helped me. She really led me on a self-reflecting journey and just showed up with so much kindness, but was very determined to reach the goals, and that really helped me. And just being the type of teacher that I was, I ran with it, and I at any opportunity, professional development outside Saturdays after school, I was there. So
Mm.
yeah, I think that that really helped me in my career.
What do you think you need now in order to continue to grow your career?
Mentor who's gonna definitely get me or see something inside of me. Sometimes we can get caught up in like doubt or lack confidence, even though we got it. But then there's certain areas where we just may feel intimidated, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But I feel like a mentor, someone who's gonna come and just really point it out and hold me accountable. That's something that I think just ongoing as an educator, I definitely would need.
Mm. I have some ideas, and they're spitting, but I think that that is powerful, right? I think we talk a lot about representation. Representation matters, and the importance of having adults that understand your experience, right? Like in front of young people, right? And the cultural connections and nuances of community and whatnot. And I think um, adults need that too in some ways, right? Folks who are fully
Yeah.
grown and understand and leading also need those folks ahead of them, who they can rely upon and whatnot. And I think that that's a really thoughtful thing to say in this moment. I think it's also like the work, right? And
Mhm.
I'm curious, as you build relationships with other teachers and as you build your network, what are some learning lessons that you can share with others who maybe are a little bit more timid? Maybe like they don't know how to actually like go and network and shake people's hands and do these things. How did you move through building your network?
Getting over myself, like, honestly, because that was me. I was that teacher who sat in the back and did not wanna share out at, PDs or conferences. I was the teacher who wanted to hide, or if I saw somebody, then I'm like, "Oh, there goes the chief," or, "Oh, there goes, the CEO," but, like, hiding, right? Because I didn't wanna be seen. I just said, "No, I deserve to be in this space. Like, let me go say hi. My name matters. Who I am matters. So it's just starting to show up authentically. And at first, it's going to feel uncomfortable, right? Because we're not used to that. We want to hide. We don't want to be seen. But then when I realize, no, there's something bigger inside of me. Hello, my name is Emily. How are you? Right? Just practicing and showing up.
Yeah. I love it. There's so much there, and I like the overwhelming, not overwhelming, but like the amount of care that you have for how you show up, and the importance of that, and this idea of getting over yourself, right? Because there is something bigger inside you. I think that's something that deeply resonates with a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
They know that there's so much more to what they can offer or do or to connect with others, and yeah, it is that kind of also maybe self-talk that you like work yourself out of that confidence and those opportunities. Um, as you move into one day, getting your new school and building out a team and continue to do incredible things. Um, how do you hope that by the end of your profession, like how do you know that you will have been successful in your goals?
By the legacy that I leave, what is within me that is going to be multiplied, right? So writing books, starting a school, possibly a college course, like putting everything in place that teachers need to continue the work, because there's just so much within me and my experience. That's the beauty of it. That it's because of where I've been, what I've been through, taking that pain and turning it into purpose and just sharing that with the world. Because I think that sometimes we may get caught up in that pain and that trauma and not know how to get past it. And I don't want to die with that inside of me. I
Hmm.
want that. I want to leave that legacy for our future generations, our future students, our future educators, our future teachers.
Emily, it's been such a pleasure to be able to talk to you today about who you are and how you show up and your worldviews. I'm curious, is there anything that you haven't shared today that you would like to share with our community?
I would just want to say that I am rooting for everyone. When I show up in spaces and just want you all to know that even though I may not know you, I am just thinking about you as teachers and educators and as moms, dads, that I hoped one day to leave and continue to share that passion so we can all collectively walk together and continue to shift the narrative for our students and ourselves.
I love that. Shift the narratives for yourselves, for your students. And if you have one fan, it's Emily Gasca.
Yes,
So
yes.
thank you so much for joining us today, Emily. Thank you for taking the time. We so appreciate you, and thank you so much for sharing about your journey.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. And,
Bye.
LEC community, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. When we look forward to catching you on another edition of Ask an Educator.